Yeah.
And it's because he wants to be a war criminal. He does not want
Well,
the
I think he
law to
wants he
stop
wants to
him
look
from attacking
manly,
anybody.
right? He
Yes,
wants to look
it's
manly
exactly
and being a secretary of war. I mean, he's already a secretary, right? He's got to like do
right.
something about that. That's not all right. Secretary of Defense, especially.
Right.
So now at least he's a secretary of war.
War.
That's a manly thing. War. America. Fuck yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, and it's all of this posturing of strength for me
Yeah.
is the clearest sign of weakness. The
Oh, of course it is.
clearest
Of course it
sign
is.
of weakness.
Yeah. The biggest losers always tell people about how cool they are.
Welcome to another episode of the Bloomburg Democrat. I'm Sally Taylor. This is my discerning younger brother, John Daniels. And we are here today to talk about the newly named Department of War. John,
Yeah.
why do we have a Department of War?
Well, the reasoning sounds like that we used to have a Department of War, so we need to regress.
Yeah,
Um, which what I watched the video that I think you want to show, and when I saw this video, the very first like few seconds, I could kind of understand like you want to kind of go back to the roots and make America great again, kind of means going back, right? So
right.
I could kind of understand. And then he kind of kept running his mouth, and I was thinking, oh, this is pathetic. This is insane. This is,
Kind of went off the rails, didn't it? So,
yeah,
that said, let me go on ahead
yeah,
and show this clip. Most people may
yep,
by now be familiar with it. It came out a couple of days ago, but let
yeah.
me share. So, here is the video in question.
After winning a war for independence in 1789, George Washington established the War Department, and Henry Knox was his first Secretary of War. And this country won every major war after that, to include World War I and World War II. Total victory, Mr. President, as you said. Then, 150 years after that, we changed the name after World War II from the Department of War to the Department of Defense in 1947. And as you pointed out, Mr. President, we haven't won a major war since, and that's not to disparage our warfighters, whether it's the Korean War, the Vietnam War, or our generation of Iraq and Afghanistan. That's to recognize that this name change is not just about renaming, it's about restoring. Words matter. It's restoring, as you've guided us to, Mr. President, restoring the warrior ethos, restoring victory and clarity as an end state, restoring intentionality to the use of force. So, at your direction, Mr. President, the War Department is going to fight decisively, not endless conflicts. It's going to fight to win, not to lose. We're going to go on offense, not just on defense. Maximum lethality, not tepid legality. Violent effect, not politically correct. We're going to raise up warriors, not just defenders. So this War Department, Mr. President, just like America, is back. Thank you for your leadership and your clarity. We're going to set the tone for this country. America first, peace through strength, brought to you by the War Department. We're back.
So,
Yeah.
you and I obviously probably really start to fall apart at about the same phrase.
Yeah.
Tell me what it is about this that bothers you, John.
Well, like again, like I understand nostalgia. Okay, I get that. It's a normal human thing. Like, fine. If it was just that, I'd be like, yeah, okay,
Yeah,
sure.
but it's going to cost us tens of millions of dollars just to make the name change. So,
Tens of
waste, fraud, and
millions?
abuse.
I don't know if it's gonna be tens of millions. Like,
Yeah, literally. But if you think about
really?
all the letterheads and all of the names on
Well, you
buildings
just
and
start
all, it's,
printing out the
yeah,
new ones that way, right? Maybe, right? You don't have
they're
to
going to
throw out
throw
all the
away
old
all the old
ones.
ones. Oh, but they will.
Yeah, probably. So,
But
well,
that
still,
aside,
like, how much paper do they have? Come on, it's not tens of millions. I can't imagine.
It will be.
We'll see. We'll see. Maybe because
Okay.
it's it's these special like pieces of paper where every piece is got like a serial number and is tracked and
But think about every placard on every office door, because Hegseth's
yeah.
already changed
Oh, but I
his.
did see a
Every
video.
title on
Yes.
every building.
That's Velcro. That's Velcro.
Yes. But on a
Yes.
brass plate, an engraved brass
Wow.
plate.
They're really thin, probably. Probably bought it from Walmart. I did it
Okay,
with a
all
key
of this
engraving machine.
aside, to me, that's like minor compared to
Yeah.
some of the real egregious issues.
It was
Right.
really cringy. It was very Fox Newsy,
It
and
was,
it was
well,
really cringy, and these false dichotomies that they started to insert here to kind of really I thought watered down the validity of what they were doing. Um, and it seems like the reason is all wrong. We're not trying to support peace anymore. Uh,
right.
we want to just be violent barbarians and go and destroy the rest of the world, it sounds like.
So
And
that they'll all be afraid of us.
yeah.
Here's the phrase that had me screaming the most. He
Mhm.
said, "Not tepid legality,"
Yeah.
meaning what?
Maximum lethality.
Right,
That's the
not
opposite
maximum
there.
lethality, not tepid
Mm.
legality, which to me means he plans to become a war criminal.
It does sound like that, yes. Yeah.
It sounds like it's in his plan, which would
Yeah.
make sense
Maximum
since they've just,
lethality is a
yeah,
lot like what Hitler was doing, putting people in gas chambers ensures that they
exactly.
all die. So,
And it's
yeah.
very much like the illegality of us just bombing a speedboat with 11 Venezuelans on it in international
Yeah.
waters.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're still trying to figure out how they're going to justify that.
After the
Yeah.
fact,
Yeah.
well, I mean, they've tried to justify it by saying, "Oh, it's a drug boat and it
Yeah.
was headed for America. We're protecting Americans."
Yeah. Well,
They
I
don't
read an
know that.
article pretty much right away that said it was going to Trinidad and had nothing
Right.
to do with America. So, yeah, well, I mean, they lie left and right. Like every few minutes, it's a new lie. So you can't just trust anything that they say. You have to just look and see what they do and then judge them based on their actions because their words are all lies. So, yeah, uh, it's
So
another one of
I
these
and
situations where it's just like, how stupid are we going to allow ourselves to become? That's the question.
it
That's the
is a
question. How stupid
question
are
that
we
I
going to allow
thought
ourselves to become?
I thought we passed that limit long, long, long ago.
Yeah,
Um, but it doesn't seem to be the case. I've been looking at a lot of this and trying to figure out, like, who is the mastermind behind some of this crazy stuff. And of course,
yeah,
Trump has been saying for some time that he wanted to change it back to the Department of War. So that
yeah,
to me feels a lot like sort of toxic masculinity, for one. And you're right, the
yeah,
wording does matter. I mean, Hegseth said that himself. Wording does matter. And to
yeah.
be focused on war is not an act of peace.
No, it's not. It's not a good direction to go for the future of humanity ever.
Right. And the reason that it was changed to the Department of Defense, in my mind, and looking back historically and when it was done, it was post World War II. And the
Hmm.
world, not just America, but the world was absolutely fatigued and destroyed by war.
Yeah,
And we were ready to move away from it.
yeah,
So changing it to the Department of Defense was a way of moving away from the horrors
yeah.
of war
Right. It
and
was a
all that
reframing
caused.
of what we're going to use military for in the future.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
And the men making these decisions, well, some of them have
mm,
never experienced war. Bone
yeah,
Spurs,
yeah,
Taco
yeah, yeah,
has never experienced war.
yeah.
And yet he calls himself a war hero. Trump calls himself a war hero.
Well,
I
he's
mean,
delusional.
the
I mean,
grandiose narcissistic delusions are just beyond the pale.
yeah, yeah,
And, I watched the military. I don't know if he was a general. He must have probably been. That was standing next to Hegseth
uh-huh,
during this speech,
Okay.
and he just hung his head and looked like he wanted to crawl out of his own skin.
Yeah.
Now he did speak afterwards and sounded somewhat supportive, as
Hmm.
was his job to do.
Right.
But again, I am back to wondering, how are our military leaders viewing this?
Hmm.
And again, it's just a political act to change the name, and not
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
something that Trump is able to do on his own. So right now it's kind of like this like subname, nickname to call it the
Uh-huh.
Department of War, because Congress is the one
They
that
have to
actually
actually, yeah,
has to change
decide.
the name.
Right.
Yeah. And so I suspect that they will, in the near future, they'll go on
Probably.
ahead and give him that appeasement, because it's an easy one to give him, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That
Yeah. Yeah.
but the other thing is I for me, it's a further setting of the stage
Yeah.
for this regime to use the military against the American people. So when he changes the
Mm.
name of the Department of Defense to the Department of War, and
Mm.
then he organizes another state's National Guard to move into a blue state, a National
Right.
Guard from a red state to a blue state to
Yeah.
go inhabit one of their cities,
Yeah.
that's an act of war within our own nation. It's an
Yeah.
act of war against the American people.
Yeah. So do you think that like they're trying to desensitize us to this idea, or at least the name war, so that we get used to it, and then suddenly we're at war with
At
ourselves, and then
war,
it's just kind of like normal
I think it's a
normalization?
possibility. It certainly
Because
does put us more at ease with being at war with the rest of the world,
mhm,
right?
I feel like maybe these guys are not so well thought out. Like I think a lot of these harebrained schemes that kind of come up every now and then in the Trump cabinet and the administration is like one of the cabinet members or whatever, that, I mean, like they're his lackeys, and they're kind of probably all sitting around spitballing, and one of them says, what if we renamed the Department of Defense the Department of War? And then they're like, oh, that would be a great idea, and they're like high-fiving each other and stuff. That's what I think this is kind of like. This is the decision process in my mind, right?
Sophomoric grown
Yes.
men.
Like these are not deep thinkers thinking about the solutions of tomorrow. These are people who are just trying to like be cool and do the thing that they think is gonna like be really badass and stuff. That's kind of how I
Yeah.
feel. I mean,
Well,
of course, these stupid decisions have actual consequences. That's what happens when you elect these people into public offices. But I don't think they realize the severity of everything
right.
that they're doing.
To be honest, at the end of the day, it's a minor thing with regard to just calling it one thing or another. To
Right.
be honest, for me, that's not the significant aspect. For
Right.
me, it's the mindset behind it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's where the danger lies. It is a form of toxic masculinity that we had been sort of shifting ourselves away from, based on
Hmm.
the trauma of our own nation. Like I said, if you go back to when this naming of this department had originally been changed, it was after the trauma of war.
Right.
And yet somehow we're nostalgically wanting to go back to that. And
Yeah.
so it's that mindset, to
Well,
me, that is
so
concerning.
one of the things that they pointed out, which was clearly a lie, I think it was Trump that said they changed it from the Department of War to the Department of Defense because they were woke or whatever
Yeah.
in 1947.
Right.
Right.
Which wasn't even a term
So
I don't think anybody was using back then. So
yeah, no, definitely
I'm
not.
pretty
And I
sure
don't
that
think
wasn't.
they were even really considering it at that point. So I don't know. So even when you say like toxic masculinity, I'm not sure toxic masculinity has much to do with this renaming. Like I get what you're saying in that it's kind of like a side effect of toxic masculinity, right?
Yes,
It's
but
like the
it's because of that mindset.
Right.
I mean,
Right. That this
like
kind
I
of
did
thing
a little.
happens, right?
Yes,
Yes, yes,
yes.
yes.
And so I was looking back at Hegseth a little bit, just to be fresh on sort of his history and where he came from and everything. And he's definitely,
Yeah.
he one thing was he was actually an officer in the National Guard. So it made me wonder if all of this activity of the National Guard is because of his direct connections with them coming up through
Hmm.
the ranks.
Yeah.
And that's a possibility for the reason
Yeah.
that the National Guard has been so up in front of the news lately, because that's Hegseth's background.
Yeah.
But this is a man who has been accused of sexual abuse by multiple women. He
Yeah.
has been accused of financial mishandling of money. I mean, like, he's
Mhm.
exactly the kind of guy that Trump loves.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
just like
Exactly.
him.
He's a maverick.
Yeah. He, Hegseth
Yeah.
doesn't believe women should have the right to vote.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
follows a
Surprise.
preacher, a Christian preacher, who
Yeah.
says the 19th Amendment was a mistake and women should not have the right to vote.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's Hegseth's religious affiliation.
luckily, he has the right to believe these things, and we have separation of church and state. But that's getting a little bit thinner these days as well. With
So,
now, I think it's in Texas. This was another one of the changes, one of those 800 laws that got passed. Now in Texas, there has to be like a 16 by 20 poster of the Ten Commandments posted in
yes, they
every
passed that. Mhm.
school classroom, which is donated by someone, by whatever organization or group or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's not exactly something that's going to be paid for by taxpayers, it seems. But I don't know about the details on this. But anyways, my thought was, well, what happens if students just like tear them up? They're going to keep printing more and putting them back in?
Yeah. What if the teachers keep tearing them up?
Yeah.
I'm so glad I'm not teaching in Texas anymore, John. I would have had to fought that tooth and nail, but they do have
Yeah.
legal, pushback on that
Mm.
particular law that has been
Well, yes,
passed.
yes, yes, of
And so
course, because
it's
this
yet
is
to be
clearly
seen whether or not it
unconstitutional.
actually, yeah,
It's not going to stand, obviously.
surely not, surely
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
Um,
And we need to
but it
strike
was
and
passed the
and
same similar law in Louisiana,
yeah,
not too long ago. If I would be coming up with every way under the sun not to comply with that if I was still a teacher in Texas.
yeah.
Um, but I
We
mean,
got to get no.
we're
If we want to
shifting
make
off topic.
okay. No,
Mhm.
no, back to the topic. If we want to make America
Okay.
great again by going back and renaming things and changing things back to the way they used to be, let's take out that under God part of the Pledge of Allegiance,
Yes, that
right?
never used to be there back in,
Make
what was
America
it,
great again.
50s when they
Yeah, back in
added
the
that?
well, certainly when we had a Department of War, that was not in the Pledge of Allegiance.
You're exactly right. That's
So
absolutely true.
yeah, let's get rid of that too.
Yeah, if we're going back, let's go back.
Make America great again.
Let's go back to the Constitution and what the founding
That's right.
fathers had in mind. I'm
That's
all
right.
for that.
Yeah. I would
uh,
say let's just clean the whole slate. We go back to just after the Bill of Rights.
the
Like
drawing
every
board.
every law after that is now stricken from the record, and we either have to pass it again or just like be like, yeah, no, that one was stupid. We're never going to pass it again.
As
But
long as we
let's
still
just
have
try
civil
over.
rights, as long as women regain their bodily autonomy. I mean, like
Okay,
those
okay.
kinds of
So,
things
well,
are
maybe
important.
we'll keep the amendments to the Constitution because those are hard won.
Those are a
But
hard one.
all of the other like the little laws that just like a few people voted on, let's get rid of those.
Yeah. If you think about how many people
Start
are
over.
impacted today, just by the pure numbers of increase in population
Mm.
compared to how many people voted on it to begin with,
Oh yeah.
that's a
Oh
very
yeah.
small number of people making choices about
Yes.
our lives today, isn't it?
Yes, yes. Oh, don't get me started until like I was born into this and I had nothing to do with any of it's being set up. Like
Right.
things would be very different if I were making the rules. It would make sense.
Okay, so let me have one more thing to say about this before we end for the day, because I
Yeah.
don't want to make this too long.
Okay.
It's all a distraction.
It is a distraction. It really is.
Release the Epstein files already.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Don't forget those damn Epstein
No,
files.
it's a
Get them
bunch of
out there.
distractions.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, well, as distractions go, this one actually is probably less damaging. I kind of hesitate even saying that than some
Mm,
others, but it
yeah.
is a symptom of a much, much deeper mental problem that we have.
There's so many mental problems. Ay, ay, ay.
Well, let's pray for healthier mental days and keep an eye on the end results of this. I'm still very nervous about the National Guard moving into Illinois. And this renaming of the Department of Defense, I think, is connected to that as well.
Yes, 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 yes. I can't say it's not. It could be. I, but then I do feel like I'm giving them too much credit. I feel like these people are just so fucking stupid.
That they're too dumb to actually have a really good
Yeah,
plan in mind.
I really think so. They're so
Well,
dumb.
let's hope. Let's hope that's
I
all it
hope so.
is,
I
and
hope
that
that's all it
it's
is.
fixable when it's all said and over with.
Yeah. Oh, but I did notice something interesting when Donald Trump was signing his name to that paper, whatever he was doing.
Hmm.
It's like he pushes his marker when he's writing his name. Did you notice that? It seems like it'd be really
Oh,
easy to forge his signature. It
signature.
feels, yeah, he just pushes it like that.
Yeah. Well, he's not using that auto pen. That's
No, I guess he's not. He likes those big fat markers.
he likes those big fat markers.
Yeah,
Exactly. And I would claim that everything is a phallic symbol for Donald Trump. So, you know.
probably so. He's probably got a small Peter.
Some people say.
Yeah.
All right, brother. On
Small
that very
hands.
egregious note. Yes.
Yeah.
Till next week.
Good
All
night.
right.
If you enjoyed this content, please hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications.